Welcome to Beerfield. I am your host at Beerfield Hop, Chris Hopper. Joined by at Ryan Minor _FFB, who's in I think a different color Jordan hat than normal.
No, this is the same color. I think it's just a different lighting.
It looks more gold.
I don't know. Well, it is maize. It's Michigan.
Maize. My bad.
Maize and blue.
My bad. Navy and maize. Maize and blue? Navy and maize?
Maize and blue.
At Beerfield Theory, who's in the same Bristol hat.
Shocking,
I know.
I'm in work clothes.
Looks cozy.
It does feel warm.
It does. Is that a special color of black? Do I need to call it something?
No.
Okay, good.
No.
Good.
It's black.
Glad for that. We had a good amount of news to get to, and then we're going to take a look back today at the 2020 NFL Draft class. That look back is presented by the FF Faceoff. FFFaceoff.com for all your draft coverage, write-ups, and needs there. Soon for me. I'm through about half the wide receiver class as far as stat workups go, and then once I get all that done, I'm going to do kind of a things that intrigued me article as I went through that process. So
have you been seeing what I've been doing lately too with the FF Faceoff? I have rookie mock drafts going over on Sleeper.
Oh, he does.
So I got one.
He does. I haven't been in any of those because they are like a minute timer, and every time I see them, I'm like pooping or in the middle of working.
Yeah. So I do 1 QB and 2 QB super flex drafts daily. So I try to get one of each done a day because work life, it's kind of like hard to do more than that. People are like, can we do a draft right now? I'm like, I'm eating dinner. So no.
Mm-hmm. And you find all of that ADP at fffaceoff.com too, yeah? Eventually?
Yes, up to date. Yeah, no, it's all up. It's all up and it's up to date now.
Sweet. Awesome. So make sure you're checking all that out as we work towards the draft. Confirmed, by the way, if you're coming out to the NFL draft, the three of us will be there. Not media credentialed or anything. We'll just be there hanging out. So
for sure.
Shoot us a line if you're coming through. We would love to chill. Or at least I would. I don't know about Dan. He's a little standoffish sometimes.
Yeah, you know.
Just kidding. He's 19 times more friendly than I am. He has to be.
I have to make up for you.
It's true. He works in sales. All right. Before we get started, though, yeah, you know.
What's fueling Beerfield?
Ryan, go ahead.
So I'm kind of doing what you're doing, Hopper, going through the beer fridge because I have beers that are just kind of just been one-offs I've been using and never going back to them. So now I'm going back to them because I need to start clearing it out to make more space for new beer as the season comes along. So today I am drinking Sweet Baby Jesus Chocolate Peanut Butter Porter.
Ooh.
And actually poured it in a glass too.
Evil twin.
Good
New
stuff.
York.
Dan?
Me? I am drinking. Let's continue the New York train, I guess. 6 Point Brewing. Because I haven't had them on the show, and I've sold their stuff when I worked for Denny's. This is their, I don't know if it'd be a flagship, but one of their more well-known resin. It's a double IPA, 9.1%. A Dippa. Yeah, a Dippa. I don't see if they have any hop profiles on here. It does not look like they do. But Brooklyn, New York, Parksburg, Pennsylvania, and Downingtown, Pennsylvania. All right. Yeah.
Sweet.
Word.
Keeping the New York trend up, I am I'm drinking Triptych out of Savoy, Illinois.
Ooh, Triptych, New York.
Triptych, New York. It's his Queen meme, so I mean, Statue of Liberty has a crown on it. I guess it kind of lines up. I don't know. Queen meme. It's a hazy triple dry hop double IPA featuring wildflower honey plus Eldorado, Azaka, Citra, and my favorite experimental 17704 hops.
Ooh, I heard that one's extra.
Something.
Just extra. It's actually extra. It's very loud.
Yeah. Are you making that up?
I am absolutely.
I don't know. You might know. I have no idea. I've
done sales for long enough. I can convince people things now. Yes.
Yeah, like you had that serious face. I'm like, really?
it's like to me when I walked into the Packer bar today for lunch, not realizing it was a Packer bar until I sat down and was like, "There's a lot of green." Oh fuck! It's a Packer and Blues. And it was in St. Louis or Fallon, Missouri, so that made sense. But
Citron, papaya, black currant, and passion fruit.
I mean, that does sound very loud.
Sounds like a good IPA hop.
Black currant.
Yeah.
I feel that feels like the most odd. What hop would give off black currant?
Experimental
it's obviously
hop
a mixture.
17704.
It's obviously a mixture of hops. I wonder what hops give out black currant because that's such a weird. That one's the most.
Bramlin Cross, Brewers Gold, quite a few. Galena.
The Brewers Gold was the first one that popped up.
Chester, Bramlin Cross, yeah. So
okay,
there's a few.
I'm sure there's a bunch, and now experimental 187653009, whatever.
Jenny.
Jenny.
Actually, the fourth thing that comes up in the search results for that hop is Queen Meme.
Okay, that's funny.
So yeah, full dealio on that when we get through the show. Yeah.
Words.
All right, we're going to start off the 49ers and some of the biggest, most obscure stuff, like biggest, most obscure, shitty situation type stuff from last weekend. Brock Purdy has a torn UCL. So for those that don't know what a UCL is, that is normally the ligament that leads to Tommy John surgery for MLB pitchers that keeps them out for a year to a year and a half. Not quite as severe with NFL players, but still really affects your ability to throw the football. Different throwing motion, so again, not quite as severe, but he's looking at it 6 months. It's a complex tear. Hopefully they can repair it, not have to reconstruct it. So 6 months from now, or from the middle of I don't know, we'll call it middle of this month because he's still seeking second opinions and stuff, puts him at mid-August. That means he's missing the beginning of training camp on that timeline. In the meantime, Jimmy Garoppolo, Kyle Shanahan basically said there's no way he returns to the team, which makes sense.
Wow, rude.
Well, yeah.
I know it makes sense,
yeah.
but geez, buddy.
Yeah.
He was laughing on the sideline.
Just being real about it, but yeah, I mean, it totally makes sense that he won't be back, so he'll be a name that is probably looked at for, a starter gig for some of these teams that, or at least a competing gig for some of these teams that are in the need for a veteran quarterback that don't necessarily have the draft capital to get a sure thing. He'll be popular there as one of the, a backup that's been able to come in and do it, and some success as a game manager starter. He's a good fit for, probably like the Commanders, I would think, to game manage over there. A few others.
The Colts,
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay, teams that think they're still in a viable spot to
compete. You have to. He's made of glass, so they have to put a viable backup with him too.
The Jets. He's going to go to the Jets.
He's going to go to the Jets and be backed up by Zach Wilson
when they don't get Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Trey Lance is expected to be ready by OTAs. So this does, to me, provide us a little bit of clarity with how the offseason is going to go. This is good news if you have Trey Lance, because Purdy's not going to be healthy to compete for the duration of training camp. So that immediately gives Trey Lance an edge. With more raw talent to show that he's developed and to probably open the season as a starter. Given Purdy's recovery timeline and everything. There's no way that they're going to hand it to either guy. Trey Lance is going to get another crack at this thing, is how I'm reading the tea leaves right now.
We're starting this. We're very early. We're not even through the Super Bowl yet, but obviously there's been reports of some executives thinking that Lance, could be traded. There's if you ask any beat writer for the Vikings, they think they're going to get Trey Lance for Kirk Cousins. So, field days. It'd have to cost more. They'd have to do Trey Lance plus for Kirk. Oh man, the amount of Kool-Aid being drunk about how valuable Kirk Cousins is at 36 years old. But it's going to be a very interesting offseason.
Now, I've heard like multiple speculations about Brock Purdy because I've heard the whole 6 month thing, but then also the 9 to 12 month surgery that he would actually physically get.
So I think it depends on if it's reconstruction versus repair.
Yeah, isn't that why he's getting the second opinion?
He's getting the second opinion on if he needs surgery. It's a 6 month recovery without surgery. It's a 6 month recovery if they can do it without reconstructing it. You get into the 9 to 12 month range if it has to be reconstructed, which is more along the lines of what you see with
baseball pitchers and stuff.
Yeah. We'll talk about it. Okay. So yeah, with baseball pitchers and stuff, your baseball pitchers are usually looking at 12 month before they can resume activities. So, yeah, I mean, it's something to keep an eye on. It's something to watch. It's good news for Trey Lance, and I don't see that there's any way the Niners trade him without getting a surefire veteran starter back in return.
Don't you do it.
Like
Kirk.
Not Aaron Rodgers.
Like,
he already said he's not going.
Derek
He's
Carr.
going.
Where do you think I was going?
Like Derek Carr. He said a surefire veteran. Like Kirk Cousins.
Like Kirk Cousins. So yeah.
The sad thing is I can totally see it happening. I just not in the way that people think it's going to.
Yeah.
And it's not, and they won't do it.
It's almost
the Vikings are going to convince
it's almost as silly as the Bears are going to trade Fields and draft Bryce Young versus just move down.
God, that is
I'm very happy now that the obvious is continuing to be stated that they're going to try to package the 101. No fucking shit.
No shit. We good job,
God.
NFL media. We spun up this whole thing and then recanted all of it to just say, oh yeah, they're going to package the 101. No shit, they're packaging the 101. They would be dumb not to.
Even if they didn't really know about Fields, that roster needs so much help.
Right.
And Bryce Young and Stroud is not any.
If
they're not.
Fields
is a Bev Fields.
Bad, you at least have an infrastructure to bring the next guy into.
Yeah, Caleb Williams.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. if you film quarterback this year, it's like, all right, you got next year's quarterbacks are even better. So why draft one now?
W community.
Right.
It's Caleb Wilson. Or I'm sorry, Caleb Williams. Oh, it's a Caleb Wilson.
Caleb Wilson. That was the tight end. Not a good one.
It was somebody because I kept wanting to go. I kept wanting to say Caleb.
Caleb Wilson was the UCLA tight end from 2018 or something like that. That was hyper athletic.
That wasn't Josh Oliver. I thought Josh Oliver.
No,
was
it was
the one from UCLA.
It was Caleb Wilson. I'm fairly certain.
I know Oliver played there. I thought that was maybe that was after Caleb Wilson. He's a tight end.
It's like that one
played for UCLA.
Yep. And was drafted in 2019. So I was only a year off.
Yeah. What were you, Oliver?
Josh Oliver, you
just made me think of the old TV show The League, where they were trying to guess who they were drafting.
San Jose State.
San Jose State. Little different than UCLA.
I mean, is it?
California.
Cameron Cameron, whoever.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Jordan Cameron and Cameron.
Cameron. Oh my God. One of them will help you score points, the other one will make you lose points.
That was a great episode, though. When Ruxin wants to punch Antonio Gates and runs into him in the hot tub. What a good show.
I missed that show. That was a great show.
I've rewatched it about 8 times.
It ended bad. I hated the ending to it.
The ending was not good, but
it's like most shows that go for too long.
Nick and I used to skip through downtown Springfield Shiva blasting. As we would skip from the 1 a.m. bars to the 3 a.m. bars.
The good old days.
The good old days.
The single days.
Yes. Tua Tagovailoa finally cleared concussion protocol ahead of the offseason, so that's good. He spent like a month in it. He's still going to miss the Pro Bowl, so congratulations, Tyler Huntley.
Which I find funny because the Pro Bowl is a flag football game. So there would be no physical hitting anyways. And why not just do the
Because he wasn't
quarterback
cleared
competitions?
until Wednesday, so he probably had to make a decision before then. He probably wasn't sure he was going to get cleared. So they'll recover throughout the offseason, and hopefully this is the end of that saga because, man, he has taken so many strides of that offense and proved so many people wrong this year. But two super
More on him later.
Two super unfortunate injuries. You said more
It
on him
is.
later?
Yeah.
I mean, he is in this class.
Yes.
I'm sure we'll talk about
More on
it.
him later. We will. Mike McCarthy is going to assume play calling duties for the Cowboys as Kellen Moore is no longer with the team. Related news: Kellen Moore was hired by the Chargers.
Less than
That was, like,
24 hours.
instantaneous.
Less than 24 hours after being fired. After being the scapegoat, because let's be honest,
He was scapegoated, and the Chargers are going to benefit from that because I think he's probably a lot better than
great.
Joe Lombardi. So
yeah.
he'll open that up from what we've seen from the Cowboys' offense. Open up Herbert's arm a bit. I still think they need to add pieces. Keenan Allen's starting to age out, and Mike Williams is not. Like, no matter how much people want Mike Williams to be something, I've been singing it for 3 or 4 years now. That just ain't a thing. So they're going to need
It's never
some
going to
help.
happen. It's never going to happen.
Never
It's
going to
not-
happen.
Fitch will never
Not
be a
making
thing.
Fetch happen. But, yeah, I think it's good news for Herbert. We saw how he used Tony Pollard, so I'm not worried about Eckler at all. Very similar skill sets there. And real interested is I think they need to land a wide receiver here too.
There'll be one in the first. I'm predicting they go receiver first round.
I think they should.
I was going to say the same exact thing.
Yeah, they need to.
As for the Cowboys, McCarthy had some players that put up some huge fantasy numbers despite lack of regular success. So, this isn't a bad thing unless you're a running back. But this is probably good for Lamb, potentially good for Gallup, good for Dak. Probably not good from an NFL perspective because it's pretty unimaginative, but he'll go throw heavy from what we saw in Green Bay. So,
I mean,
good
it's
for
different with
fantasy, I guess.
Rodgers too. I guess it's also different than. I mean, when you have Rodgers, and for the longest time, they never really had. I mean, I guess maybe Eddie Lacy, and towards the end, they never really trusted Aaron Jones, which has now gone through 2 running backs. I mean, you'd have to. The team wants to retain Zeke. I think you'll get some sort of thunder lightning. It's hard to imagine not having Dak be involved, not throw the ball enough, but their receiving core is pretty bad.
Yeah. Losing Amari Cooper really showed.
And Michael Gallup getting hurt and Jalen Tolbert just
Michael Gallup was
completely
just
face planting. I mean, they're also going to go probably receiver early. I would assume day 1, day 2 for sure.
Guys, Aaron Rodgers has not been great 3 of the last 5 seasons. Anyway.
No, he's been very mediocre.
Very mediocre. But early on with McCarthy, I mean, generally up around 600 pass attempts or so when he would play a full season. Between 575 and 600. Touchdown rates are relatively pedestrian, but, solid numbers there. Rodgers in his prime. I was looking to see if there's a correlation to Rodgers' downfall when McCarthy left because those two things seem to go kind of hand in hand in the Tom Brady argument, and there definitely wasn't. So,
no, I mean he's always got it done by just hyper efficiency, and he's got one of the. I think he may have the highest career touchdown rate ever. So I mean it's
his career touchdown rate is 6.2.
That is extremely fucking good for
really
a career.
Yeah,
I mean we always highlight how good 5% is for most for
yeah,
just in
5%
any
is
given
elite.
season.
True.
6. I mean
Comparison,
him and Wilson before he went to Denver, but
Peyton Manning was 5.7. Comparison's sake, Drew Brees 5.4 for his career. I think Tom Brady's right around there as well. So,
yeah.
Tom Brady is 5.4 for his career, so not right around there. He is exactly there.
Yeah. and he's almost a full percentage above him. That's
Ben Roethlisberger at 5.0. So
yeah, pretty good at football. That weirdo is
he is. Brett
Aaron
Favre was
Rodgers.
5.0. So yeah,
with also a 5.0 interception rate. Fuck that guy. It's so badly. Fuck him.
3.3, which I think is higher than Blake Bortles.
No, I mean it's. I mean, he threw the most picks in a career.
Actually,
in someone's career.
That's
So
a good one.
Blake Bortles,
What most pick? Yeah, Blake Bortles.
highest touchdown or highest interception rate.
Nah, 2.8. Favre's higher.
Bortles over Favre. You heard it here first.
Right. The boat. Oh, Tom Brady retired from the NFL after 23 seasons for a second time. Patriots, great shade. Just retweeting the last one.
It's so good. Sorry, Niners fans, you're gonna have to go for somebody else.
Indeed.
Well, give it 30 days.
You know,
He announced it this time. I think
he announced it. It didn't break, and he'd been saying for years he wanted to at least play until he was 45, and he just finished his age 45 season. So I think that he had it in his mind. He wanted to make it to 45. Played his first losing season.
Ever.
Rough shit in his personal life. You know, came back, and I don't know if, his heart just wasn't in it. He was pretty mediocre. Lost a lot of his offensive line. I think for him it was,
losing Bruce Arians.
Time is undefeated.
Maybe. Yeah. Playing until 45 is already historic. You won't ever see a quarterback. I don't think you may never see a player reach his Super Bowl appearances, maybe even wins.
Jamie Moyer played until 49. That's a pitcher, but
I mean, yeah.
This
is also was also impressive.
Vinny
Ocho Cinco is trying to come back.
Well, so is T.O. They've been trying to come back for 10 years.
Yeah.
Vinny Testaverde only played until 44, and that's the only other classic old guy quarterback.
And he was a backup, I think, towards the end of his career too. Or more journeyman. Maybe I'm wrong, but he
was a backup for the last 5 years,
which is still impressive. I mean, what Brady did was just as equally.
Is there a kicker that's older?
I'm sure. I mean, all you have to do is kick a ball. I mean, don't get me wrong; it's very difficult. But
Vinny played until he was 47.
Wow.
Oh, there.
Vinatieri did. So yes, there was a kicker that was older. Yeah, Morton Anderson probably did too. Honestly,
dude, Justin Tucker is going to play.
Morton Anderson played from 1982 to 2007.
25 years.
He was also 47 when he retired.
Wow.
Vinatieri played from 96 until 2019, so
pretty good.
Pretty
good.
That is pretty good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good player.
Yep. Houston hired D'Amico Ryans to be their head coach. So Houston actually good head coaching hire for the first time in 3 years. They replaced 2 minorities with another minority head coach. This one on a longer term deal. And
6 years.
Yeah, I think this is a good move for them. I think that he'll bring a good defensive identity. They've already said that they're going to add to the quarterback room. I think Houston's finally ready to be serious and commit to this rebuild. We'll see what they do with the offense. We'll see what they do with the infrastructure. But to me, this signals that they're done fucking around.
I don't know.
I think this is a good hire.
I'm still curious. I'm still curious.
It's
to see
one.
where D'Amico Ryans goes tomorrow or next year.
I mean, it's one move. It's one move in the right direction. He's an ex-player for them. I mean, we'll see.
Ex-player for them that had a shitload of success with San Francisco. So
yeah,
and they have a nice. I mean, and they got some good defensive pieces. We'll see.
Stingley.
Yeah, we'll see. Who they bring in, and for the offense and what they do at pick 2 if they move up or stay there. So it'll be it's going to be interesting. They're going to be in an AFC South. The rise in Jacksonville is obviously there, but it's one of the more wide open. It's the most wide open division in the AFC at the time being, and We'll see what he does.
Denver acquired head coach Sean Payton from the Saints in exchange for first and second round picks. First rounders, Miami's first rounder from this year via the Bradley Chubb trade. The second is in 2024, and the Saints are going to send back a 2024 third. So it's basically a first rounder for Sean Payton and moving back around.
I don't like it. I just don't see the whole hype for like Sean Payton, because to me, like I just see Mike McCarthy.
I don't see the hype in giving draft picks to a coach.
I don't see the hype
Exactly
in
that too.
giving draft picks for a coach either. This to me is an organization that's trying to save face. They traded for Russell Wilson. They brought in Nathaniel Hackett as their big head coaching hire, who, to me, that was questionable to begin with. They immediately handed Russell Wilson a huge contract, and they completely shit the bed. This is a team that has to try to save face and has to try to do something that works. They have the roster. They have the players. They need to make it effective. And, I see Sean Payton as a commitment to that can work with a player like Russell Wilson. You can't ignore the sins of Sean Payton, but you also can't ignore the success of Sean Payton. And him with Breeze after the Chargers casted him aside, how he managed to take offenses that were always seemingly lacking pieces and make them good. So to me, this is what Denver had to do. I don't think there was another option that Denver had that would have made any freaking sense with what they got on the table. This is what they had to do.
I think it was more of a PR move. I think it's gonna burn in their face. I don't think you're not Sean Payton away from being a good NFL team.
They might be a Sean Payton away from being a good NFL team because Nathaniel Hackett's not a good coach, but look at the roster.
All right, but what has Payton done? When was the last time he won a Super Bowl? When's the last time he won a playoff game? When's the last time he won a conference championship game?
When's the last time half of every freaking coach? When's the last time any coach you're going to pick up off the free agent pile has won a freaking game as a head coach?
Like, would you rather trade that for Sean Payton or trade that same amount and try to get someone like the coach for the Rams, freaking Sean McVay? Yeah.
If McVay's under contract, though, and wasn't going to leave, Payton had already stepped away, and they were willing to move him. If he was, but was he? You can play the what-if game the whole time. What if we resurrected Vince Lombardi from the dead?
3 first-round picks.
And brought him back.
3 first-round picks.
For 3 first-round picks, and then they made that happen.
Right.
What if Bill Belichick finally decided he wanted to be traded? What about that? We're playing the what-if game.
For Sean Payton. So what if you? All right, so you do this trade for Sean Payton. What if they don't make the playoffs this year? Was it a good trade or a bad trade?
It's like 2022 all over again because they didn't make the playoffs and they were arguably the most disappointing. They were the most disappointing team.
Yeah,
they have the league's best one of the league's best defenses. This move makes a lot of sense. I still don't agree with overpaying. Why not push for Kellen Moore? If you're going to push for an offensive mind, why not?
Probably would have made sense. By the way, to your point, Ryan, the last time they were in the playoffs and won a playoff game was 2020.
Was Sean Payton?
Yes.
Or was he already gone?
No, he was still there. It was 2020.
That was his final year.
Was it a conference championship?
It was not a conference championship.
Divisional?
I think they'd only done that once, but so have a lot of people.
It's very difficult.
Right. But I just feel like what they gave up.
It was 2020 with
Sean Payton,
41-year-old Drew Brees. Yeah, but
it's also Drew Brees.
What?
Who was bad then?
He was running on a noodle arm.
Yeah, find me a hole in this roster that you need
right now. Running back. Right now is running back.
Offensive line depth.
I mean, everyone needs offensive line depth. It's like running backs in fantasy football. You can never have enough trench players.
Right.
Both sides of the ball, running back and defensive line. It's the same thing. Running back. Sorry, O-line and defensive line. You never have enough swing players that can fill holes when people get hurt. I mean, we're gonna see what he can do with Russell. We're gonna see Ventus ruts, or we're gonna see that maybe it wasn't just Hackett. Like we will find out.
We're gonna find out, but they have to
We will
find out
definitely
with
find
what they
out.
paid Russ. They have to.
I mean,
Well, they have to
I mean,
They have to win now because or else trading these first round picks was a total like scam and bullshit.
Well,
it
yeah,
was
but
already
they
gonna
gotta
be a
go
bust.
in.
Yeah. I mean,
You already paid
just-
Wilson I'm sorry, Dan.
no, you're good.
You already paid Wilson a fuckload of money. You signed Tim Patrick to a fuckload of money. You signed Cortland Sutton to a fuckload of money. You got Javonte Williams on an expiring deal. You've got a good defense. You got to go all in. You're already effed if you don't go all in. You have no cap space.
I just
No,
can't
they have
believe
nothing.
someone called the Saints actual deal. I just
It was crazy.
It's just shocking to me that I've always I dislike Sean Payton, but I'll always respect him as an offensive genius. I mean, he modernized the usage of running backs in their offense in the way that we haven't seen really. I mean, now we've seen, repeated and I guess we'll get an idea of how good he is, but it's Hopper. The Broncos have a very stacked roster. They also play in the league's most difficult division, in the league's most difficult conference, and we'll see how Russ and this team and how Payton can lead this team against arguably the 5 best quarterbacks come from this conference. It's unless Jackson gets moved on or you don't put him there. It's good luck. Like good luck to them coming out of the AFC West. And to Ryan's point, I don't know if Payton can even do that. It may not even be on Payton.
No.
But the Broncos do have to do something. You give up that much to get Wilson, then to pay Wilson, and then to continue to make moves to add in more draft picks you lost that you can use in return to get a head coach. This is what happens when you royally fuck up your head coaching spot, like to a point where you tank a move that seemed destined to work.
Yeah.
And
I just see a dumpster fire.
And well, it's because
I can also see it now.
That's what we saw was a
see it not
dumpster
work.
fire. It's hard to see the shit through the smoke, but it gives them their best chance, I think. And it may not work, but they have to give it a chance to work. By the way, Peyton since 2009, just because I pulled it up, since 2006, lost the conference championship, 7-9, 8-8, won the Super Bowl,
Cheaters.
lost in the wild card round, won 0 games. Lost in the divisional round, won 1 playoff game. So they were 11-5, 13-3. Missed the playoffs 2012, 2013, 11-5. Lost in the divisional round after winning in the wild card round. 3 straight seasons missing the playoffs. 17, 18, 19, 20. 4 straight playoff appearances. Won in the wild card round. Won in the divisional round. Lost in the conference championship. Lost in the wild card round, and then won the wild card round, lost the divisional round. So until Breeze retired, Peyton had wrapped off 4 straight winning seasons, 4 straight playoff berths, and 3 playoff wins in that time frame.
All right,
out of 4 seasons.
And then look at Mike McCarthy, just to
for comparison's sake.
Like, yeah, because a lot of people give a lot of flack saying, Dallas signing Mike McCarthy, that was a dumb move. That's a dumb move. But it's just but praising this whole Peyton signing to Denver, and I'm like, what's the difference? Because I don't see the difference. It's the same exact type of coaches. They had the same
McCarthy's
exact type
definitely
of record.
had its more. I think McCarthy's had more success because of the conference championships he's made with Rodgers.
But even people were saying they wanted him fired basically after the championship game. It's
it's because Dallas fans are idiots. Are you going to tell me I'm wrong about Cowboys fans being morons?
No.
Okay.
You didn't hear? No, you heard me go completely silent. Did you not?
Oh, I did. I didn't know if I said something so profound you were shocked by it. Cowboys fans are morons. I don't have a better way to put it. They're worse than Yankees fans these days, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
The Yankees fans were freaking insufferable for 2 decades.
They still are.
That is true.
The Yankees. You can send your hate mail for my comments about Cowboys fans to Aaron Schill on Twitter.
All right. That's enough about their Sean Payton tangent.
Oh man, Derek Carr. He's been granted permission to seek a trade, and then he was named the Pro Bowl.
Oh my God.
That's awesome.
It's about
In
I don't know what's
the Pro
funnier,
Bowl
Derek Carr going
in
to the Pro
Vegas.
Bowl or Tyler Huntley.
Yeah, where he's gonna have to don Raiders gear.
Actually, does he wear Raiders gear or does he wear just like an NFL like sticker?
You'll have to
helmet?
say something with Raiders on there.
Yeah,
He'll have something on there.
he will.
Hold on. Yeah, there's
Raiders armband.
He's gonna wear Raiders socks. You can't even see him. That's awesome.
He's already making jokes at the Pro Bowl. Ryan Clark asked him about something, and he's like, "Well, that's probably why I'm leaving Las Vegas." It's something about his bad numbers or not being high.
That's awesome.
No, he's already joking about it. Good for him when he goes to the
appreciate that,
Jets.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a shame he's gonna end up with the Texans, just like Big Brother. But
just like it's oofta for
Yeah,
that
his
second
brother-
overall
his-
pick.
His brother got screwed in that whole thing because that team was nowhere near being a team, and he was a hell of a lot better quarterback than what he actually showed in the NFL.
I mean, Andrew Luck was out the same man with the Colts, but fuck David Carr, fucking weirdo.
yes. Miami has hired Vic Fangio as their defensive coordinator. Great hire by them.
Oh, they did. I
Yeah,
didn't see that go through. They stole him from Denver, back to Denver.
officially. What do you mean they stole him from Denver?
There's a lot of
think he was
Broncos
going
fans
back-
after the Sean Payton thing was like, maybe we'll get back Vic Fangio.
There ain't a snowball's chance in hell that was gonna. He ain't going back to Denver as a coordinator.
It's good. It's a good hire though.
A great hire by me.
Oh yeah, I like that one a lot for the second time.
The Rams hired ex-Jets offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur, his OC.
He's being paired back up with his daddy.
Yeah, with Peyton. Good move for the Rams. You get somebody in, you can work with them, familiarity, et cetera, et cetera. I think LaFleur can be a good OC. Didn't exactly have the world to work with the Jets. Poor Mike White got hurt. Otherwise, I think that ends differently.
Yeah. Damn it! If the statue didn't crumble,
Oh, Mike White.
there's
You know what I
it's
feel good
not-
about, Dan? We were fucking right about Mike White. It just took 6 years.
There was a rumor that came out on Super today that the Rams are very interested in
Mike White. Yes.
I was like, do it.
I love it.
Let him one of the league's worst offensive line gets the fucking statue behind him. Yeah, that's not gonna end well. That's
With Baker
that's gonna
Mayfield.
totally end well. Yeah,
Do it.
I think Baker's gone anyway. I don't think he goes back.
I don't know
LA.
where Baker's going to go.
I mean, if you're touting
He's the next
Mike
quarterback
White,
for the New York Jets.
I was thinking the Argonauts.
it's going to Houston.
The Argonauts. He's going to go play for the Battlehawks.
He'll be a backup somewhere.
For the Battlehawks?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's where
he's going to Minnesota.
Hey,
He's going to Minnesota so I can buy a
Taylor
Baker Mayfield
Heineke was
jersey.
Jordan Ta'amu's back up on the Battlehawks. Just saying.
and now his replacements. It's replacing him,
Mm-hmm.
or not his replacement. His lookalike. It's not replacing him. Same how.
Joe Mixon things. The thing that is being dropped tomorrow, so really nothing. We'll talk about it next week if we need to. Okay.
Supposedly being dropped tomorrow.
His agent says it's being dropped tomorrow, so it could be nothing. Could be something. Nobody knows.
I should take that chance when I had that chance to have Floyd Mayweather hit me in the face.
What?
I'm gonna press charges. No, I'm not gonna press charges. Never mind.
Oh,
I thought you had an opportunity to get punched by Floyd Mayweather.
I could have, yes.
You could have?
you could
Yeah,
have.
A couple years ago, I was in Dominican Republic, and I saw this little guy, and I'm like, "Who is that guy?" Like, he has bodyguards. I'm like, "I have no idea who that is." And my friend's like, "You don't know who that is?" I'm like, "No, why would I?" He goes, "You watch boxing?" I go, "Nope."
That's why you
He goes,
don't
"That's
know who he is.
He goes, "That's Floyd Mayweather." I'm like, "He's that short?" He was like half my size. I'm like, "Wow, he's really small." But I was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything more now that I know who it is."
Okay,
'cause
you weren't
I literally
almost
heard him
getting
at-
to be fight. You didn't say
You-
anything
you
loud enough for him
weren't-
to hear you.
I got really close to him,
And he's
all of
not-
a sudden his bodyguards got around me, and I'm like, "What's going on?"
Oh,
Like,
okay.
We got
who
really
are
close
you?
to Zeke and got ran off by his bodyguards. It doesn't mean Zeke was close to punching me.
I don't think Floyd wants to relinquish any money. I think for as many things as Floyd is dumb, I don't think he's that dumb to no.
He's not Mike Tyson dumb.
No.
Not many
He
people
likes
are.
he likes his money enough to not make stupid decisions when it comes to losing more of his money.
Okay, good.
All right. 45 minutes on the clock.
Beer Fueled Lookback.
I kind of like that one.
That was
That's fun.
pretty sweet.
I forgot I did that. All right. Looking back at 2020 draft class. So we just going to run through round by round. I'll probably go couple picks by couple picks. We'll pick some people out. We're just going to talk about this for a few minutes. Let's look at some of the skill position players in the first round first. And let's start with the first three off the board were your quarterbacks. Joe Burrow going 101 overall, Tua Tagovailoa at 5, and Justin Herbert at 6. And looking at that, let's actually just pull the whole first round QB class and just throw Jordan Love in there too.
I mean,
Is the only other
we
one.
can leave him off there. It's fine.
Yeah, he's down there at
Um,
26.
I mean, I know where he was drafted. We don't need to talk about him.
Yeah, so Jordan Love was a mistake by the Packers, I think. Well, definitely, because we're 3 years removed and they've got nothing out of that first round pick. Patrick Queen went after him. Jordan Brooks, Isaiah Wilson,
I think that was one of the
Michael Pittman.
Edward
I think that was
Solaire.
like the one first NFL drafts I was live streaming with you guys.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, Higgins, Pittman.
I remember DJ's face when Jordan Love got drafted.
Yeah, it was.
Oh my
pretty
God,
great.
that's right. He not only was he pissed that Justin Jefferson went to Minnesota, is that he had to watch Green Bay.
And
draft.
let's see.
This might be one of the worst draft classes of worst draft class for a team of all time. Their first 3 picks.
F-.
For Green
Brutal.
Bay, yeah.
I know Dylan has found something, but like Jesus Christ, man.
It was bad.
What they
Yeah, it
could have
was
at least
bad.
had, even with Higgins and Pittman there still.
Some other guys
Jesus.
that went behind him, Higgins and Pittman and Xavier McKinney for the Giants, and let's see, Jonathan Taylor went back behind him. Grant Delpit, Antoine Winfield Jr. in the middle.
Jalen
of the second
Hurts,
round.
if you wanted a quarterback so
That's
bad,
true.
draft a better quarterback.
Right, Jalen Hurts,
Fuck.
who we'll get to a little bit later on.
Trayvon Diggs.
Jalen Johnson, Trayvon Diggs, Raekwon Davis.
There's a whole lot of mistakes.
There's-
I was just naming
and
off
it
the
keeps going.
receivers that they really needed.
There's a lot of them. Jeremy Chin at the end of the second round. Yeah. A lot of things that went wrong there. Let's talk about what went right, though. For Burrow, for Tua, for Herbert, I don't know. We need to harp on that too much. I mean, those are 3 definite hits.
Yeah, they hit on him, and as long as Tua can stay out of that concussion protocol stuff, I mean that offense it flows. It flowed great when he was healthy.
I mean, you have 2 top 5 quarterbacks in Dynasty.
Yeah.
Tua's borderline. He's in the 12 to 15 range.
Yep.
It's arguably it's the best class that we've seen. Is what people thought the 21 class is going to end up being. I mean, it's still good, but that looks pretty grim at this point. This is, from a production standpoint, from an accolade standpoint, this is, in the 6 years we've done this is the most decorated QB class that we'll probably. I mean, 2 of these guys played in the conference championship games. It's incredible.
It's pretty good.
Yeah,
I like it a lot.
Insanely good, and once we get to Hurts, that adds another third QB that you can argue should be top 5.
Yes. And I think he would be if you were to do it today.
Oh, I think he would. I would be very interested to see how their quarterbacks. Washington would obviously, yeah. I would be interested to see where Tua would actually fall in comparison.
I think you definitely get Burrow to Cincy at 1 still. I think.
Yeah, I don't think that changes.
I don't think so either. I don't know that the Lions would have. Well,
Washington goes quarterback over Chase. They should have went
I think so
quarterback
too.
over Chase,
I
but
think
I think
so
they
too.
still
And
would.
then Chase Young would have ended up in
Detroit.
Detroit.
No, it depends what Detroit would have done.
Well,
No, they would have went defensive end more than likely because if
Yeah.
Chase Young would have fell, they would have.
I mean, they saw Stafford. They saw Stafford there, so
Yes.
I mean, you might
and
be
he was
right.
under contract too.
Yeah.
exactly. Other guys in the high end of this, Jeff Okuda. So Ryan, 3 years in, what are your thoughts on Okuda at 103?
It doesn't look. I mean,
I know he's a solid player.
Yeah,
but
like
worth a 103?
At 103, I don't know. I wouldn't have taken it. I mean, yeah, at the time I was like, oh yeah, that's great. But then he just never lived up to that hype where it was like a shutdown corner. Like, yeah, he had this season where he had some shutdown games, but then he also crapped the bed on when he shouldn't have.
It just goes to show also when you take in a top 5 pick, a top 3 pick that plays outside, they don't affect the game in the way that
Interior
Andrew
does.
Thomas would have if Thomas reaches heights.
And
know,
he's still
that would have been a better pick.
And Thomas is still starting.
It would have been a better
so.
pick. Yeah, it goes to show just how also important positional value is to the build of your team and why teams stay where they are. Generally, it's Okudo is a fine player. Regardless of what his outcome would have been, I don't know if he would have ever been worth the 103.
Oh, yeah.
Because he doesn't impact that position doesn't impact the game the way that others do.
Right.
No, he's not a true shutdown corner. Like where we already talked about Trayvon Diggs going.
Like even if
round.
he was, it's Trayvon Diggs isn't the reason why Dallas is a playoff team.
No, but I'm just saying, like, you could get a better value cornerback in the second round.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Spending
yes.
it.
You're absolutely right. Yes. Yeah. Sorry. Yes. So, I mean, again, it was a bad pick. I thought it was a bad pick then, just because why you're taking a defensive back that early.
They would have been better taking tackle or offensive offensive line because you can never have too many because you never know what's going to happen.
I mean, again, hindsight's always 20/20, but even it should have been Thomas. It should have been. Was it Wirfs? Wirfs, yeah, Wirfs, one of the most athletic tight ends from in a very long time. That fell to 11, or 13, which is
13.
insane.
Yeah, he went after Henry Ruggs.
Tackles, yeah.
He went after Beach. He went after. I mean, I think if Becky or Beach could say healthy, it'd be
yeah.
A different
and honestly, like the quarterbacks were hit, but if you look through this, Andrew Thomas is still starting. That's good. Derek Brown's still starting. That's good. As Isaiah Thomas has moved to a nickelback role.
Oh yeah,
has he really?
He was more of a defensive weapon. They didn't know exactly what to label him as.
Yeah, Simmons is like showing up on the depth chart as a big nickel box.
It's kind of like
type of gadget player,
like Jabril Peppers.
Yeah,
and
like
he's really good at like a 46.
To do with him.
Yeah.
CJ Henderson at 9 has already been moved on from. Yeah, that was a big swing and the miss. Jedrick Willis Jr. has been fine. Mekhi Becton's been injured and out and hurt.
Yeah,
so.
Injured.
All right, this brings us to the wide receivers. So let's go ahead and break down these first-round wide receivers, shall we? This is a class that definitely had some potential. Let's see how it played out. Ruggs was the first wide receiver off the board to Vegas at 12. You also had Jerry Jeudy to Denver at 15, CeeDee Lamb at 17, who I think was most of our ones overall.
Yep.
Then you had Jalen Reagor at 21, Justin Jefferson at 22, who I think was our most people's 102. Jefferson was. Ayuk at 25th overall. So, breaking this down, Jerry Jeudy at 15. I don't think a lot of us batted an eye there because we thought he was the most pro ready. What do you guys think? Has he lived up to that? I mean, obviously from a dynasty perspective, that's not somebody you're looking to move from, especially given some of the upside he's shown. But has he he lived up? Has he been better than T. Higgins at 33 or Pittman at 34 or, some of these other guys that went later?
I was lower on Judy than most consensus. Really, I thought he was more of a number 2, and I think the team he played for. I always joke about the Bama tax, but I think there's some reality to it. It's been unfair for Judy. He's dealt with injuries for almost every season he's been in the NFL, but I had him below Ruggs, or not Ruggs, excuse me. I had him below Lamb. I will never run away from my ranking of Rager.
I had him below Jefferson.
I had him below Jefferson. I had him below Higgins, and I had him below. I think he was my 5th. I had him below Higgins as well.
Actually, I can look this up. I don't even have to guess for myself.
I probably could too, somewhere if I wanted to actually look. But yeah.
But I like Judy, like what he's been coming into as of now. Like, yeah, the injuries killed him the last couple of years, but what he showed in the second half of the season, you saw that upside that we were wanting him to do in the NFL, and it finally started to kick in. So I see him as that upside wide receiver.
Has he shown? Granted, he had a nice couple game stretch, but
I think it was like 5 or 6 game stretch he had though.
This was a post Hackett move where the offense started to come alive.
Well, he's even coming alive during Hackett's time. So I think like this year, he's being drafted later than what I think he's going to finish. So I think he's going to finish as a back end wide receiver 1. I actually like him a lot this year.
I did have Judy at 1. I forget. I had him.
You think he's going to finish it? I don't.
As a top 12?
No.
I had him, Lamb, and Jefferson all in a tier.
Are we doing a bold predictions episode? Because I'm gonna put that as my bold prediction. I'm gonna write it down now before I forget.
It's between. It's like medium heat.
We'll do a bold predictions episode like closer to the season, so you got to remember that one for 6 months or so.
I'm gonna write it down.
I know he will. I'm sure you will too. Yeah.
I was low on Ruggs and Ayuk. I had Higgins and Pittman behind the trio of busts. I had the trios of bust all in the same tier of Rager, Mims, and Chenault. That was my second tier, and they all busted. My entire second tier busted.
Did you really?
Yeah. I had Judy, Lamb, Jefferson in tier 1, which is fine. I had Rager, Mims, Chenault in tier 2, Higgins, and Pittman in tier 3.
I was also very high in Mims. Again, I don't hide from my
Mims.
I was very high in Mims. I was extremely high in Rager. Rager was, I guess, a little bit decisive, but I still feel like, I did have him over Jefferson, but I had Jefferson at 3.
And then I had Ruggs, Duvernay, Ayuk together. And then Gabe Davis and Isaiah Hodgins are the only other 2 worth mentioning below that.
We are totally talking Gabe Davis today.
Oh, we are talking Gabe Davis.
Oh, we are totally talking Gabe Davis today at some point.
Yeah, we are. So, anyway, Judy, he's been solid. He's been fine. There's still upside there. Hasn't lived up to that draft capital.
I
think is what we can say. CeeDee Lamb, I think that he has. I don't know if you read. If you redid this, Jefferson's obviously the first wide receiver off the board.
If we did this, Jefferson's going to Detroit at 3.
Yeah.
Yes. I would believe that.
Yes.
Just given how they value outside over inside, they're totally going Jeff, which would have, people would not have been mad. He would have just been another Calvin Johnson-esque wasted career there. Until now, Ryan.
If not, it was before Arizona traded for Nuke. He would have been going to them at 8.
Yeah.
He may not have made a pass. Maybe
between that,
Carolina.
Well, Carolina would have already had DJ Moore at the time, so probably not. I don't know.
It's hard to say.
Wide receivers.
Yeah.
Historic start for a receiver. He may have never made it past Washington.
It's true. That is very true. So yeah, nothing really to say on Mr. Jefferson. Or Lamb there's been fine, I think. You're not getting out of Jefferson or Lamb. There's no reason to. Rager, you should have already given up on from a dynasty perspective. That's been documented to death. Brandon
Is he
Ayuk.
still in the Vikings?
For now.
Rager?
Yeah, for
If
now.
he makes the team, he will make more money than Jefferson this year.
Isn't that pathetic?
I mean, he won't make. He'll get cut. That team's super desperate for cap, but it's funny to think if he stays on the roster for whatever reason, he will be making more
Yeah.
than Justin Jefferson this year.
2 2020 first round picks on the same team with each other.
One of them is godsend. The other one I thought would be.
Yeah.
Send away.
I loved Rager, man. I do.
Does TCU scare you? Like a TCU wide receiver scare you now?
No,
Quentin,
As in like
well,
Quentin Johnson.
you don't scout. You don't
Quentin-
scout the helmet. Scout the player, man.
No, you scout
Always.
the player, but I still am not in love with what I saw out of Quentin Johnson.
I haven't dove deep. I just looking at his just looking at just the baseline stuff.
It's pretty meh.
Yeah.
One good
He's big.
season.
That's where
He's
my
big.
excitement
He's
comes
got
from.
1 year of production, so
Yeah, we'll see how he tests.
that is
That's
what it
gonna
is.
be the big
Exactly.
thing. We'll see how he tests because that's gonna be that's
And-
gonna be his thing. He's raw. Burks again potentially. So
Yeah.
Brandon Ayuk, as we were getting ready to talk about.
Yeah, Brandon Ayuk is.
super interesting.
It's a very interesting one. So let me frame this up. He was a first round pick, right? The
Yeah.
wide receivers that went immediately after him were Higgins and Pittman. So Ayuk was 25 overall, so less than 10 picks between him, Higgins, and Pittman. But once you get beyond those two, it was Chenault, it was KJ Hamler, it was Chase Claypool, it was Van Jefferson in the second round. In the third round, it was
We
Antonio.
got Denzel Mims too.
Yeah, Denzel Mims. In the third round, it was Brian Edwards, Devin Duvernay.
Your Mims there. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Remember Lynn Bowden Jr.? He went before Brian Edwards.
yeah, he did.
Running back.
Quarterback, running back.
He was drafted as a
wide
wide receiver.
Whatever. I know what he
He
was.
was drafted as everything, but
He was drafted as a utility.
Antonio Gibson was drafted as a wide receiver. But Ayuk's interesting because he's starting to come into his own. He put together a pretty nice season. You look at the names behind him, and okay, yeah, T. Higgins, I think we can agree, was probably the wide receiver steal of this draft. To this point, in the second round.
Okay, to this point, I was
yeah.
to say I think a 5th round receiver might take. I mean,
Yeah.
Jefferson even as a 1st round pick may have been a steal, but as a 5th receiver off the board,
Yeah.
there's a 5th round receiver potentially that has a chance just in terms of
Reed,
value.
Tyler Johnson, Colin Johnson, Quintez Cephas, John Hightower, Isaiah Coulter, Darnell Mooney,
Yeah,
KJ Osborne. KJ Osborne's who you meant, right?
they're both. No, it's Mooney's been more value. I mean, in terms of what you got from a value
Yes.
standpoint,
Well,
but it still maybe Jefferson
Cons-
just give it sort of his career.
yeah, consistency wise though, Higgins in the second's good too.
Oh yeah, I mean it's still he should
love
he should have
Higgins
been
in
a
the
1st round pick.
Look-
He really should have gone to Green Bay.
Looking at where this was, I think we were all shocked about Ayuk going in the 1st round. It was not anybody that I think any of us saw as a 1st rounder.
No.
When I look at this class now, I still think you were probably around high, but it's hard to argue with that was your guy because he shouldn't have come back to you as you look through this.
No.
Lot to be made out of San Francisco's quarterback situation. What's your view on Brandon Ayuk in Dynasty?
So I'm going through these rosters. So Debo's out, it's not until 25. Because you have to start looking at where the money's going to come from. And you have to look at where they're going to be at in the next couple of years in terms of potential salary cap, which we don't have to dive too much into that. San Francisco is going to probably be towards the bottom, but it's when Kittle, his contract becomes something that you can look at, which I don't think they'll ever get rid of Kittle. I just think he's too important to the team. But McCaffrey's contract, the odd man out thing here, and in San Francisco, it's where things become interesting. So Kittle's out 24. McCaffrey, I believe it's outs after this year. I doubt they cut him after what they gave up for him. He's slated to make $12 million with no dead cap the next 3 seasons. And we know the value of a running back and a Kyle Shanahan offense. You don't have to look far to see, the overall, playmaking usage of running backs in a Kyle Shanahan offense. Just go look at Atlanta with Devonta Freeman and Tevin Coleman. It's what they think about Samuel. Ayuk was a 23-year-old. He's already 26. Following the same path as what Samuel was as an older rookie receiver. I don't know if Ayuk's going to be there. And it's where I think his value is hard to judge because you have his 4th year. Do they pick up his 5th? There's talks of Ayuk's that could get traded.
That's how I see, like a trade. Like
yeah,
a trade and get like picks back.
You had Marquise Brown. You had AJ Brown both be moved during the draft for these wide receiver needy teams. That the teams themselves didn't look into a rebuild or maybe look to try to, capitalize on not being able to pay for them. You could fall into that. He's been in Kyle Shannon's doghouse before. And he seems relatively replaceable. It's the numbers don't wow. It's been fine, but
it's not the first one value that you wanted to see out of him.
No, and injured, not understanding, not
missing half a season basically because you're in the doghouse, like you said.
It's especially in the second season when he was coming off of a decent rookie year. I'm trying to pull up.
He was coming off a fire second half of his rookie year. Like his rookie year, he didn't start off really hot, and then the second half he like took off.
I'm gonna see where he's ranked in Dynasty right now. Just using KTC because I just like more of the quick hitting. So Ayuk is viewed as the wide receiver 21. So back into 56 overall. Obviously, KTC is more reactionary to the community, but he's moved up 12 slots over the last couple of weeks. And now he's a back end wide receiver too. It's at proper value in your guys' opinion.
For like fantasy wise, he's like a headache, but he has that wide receiver. He has that wide receiver 1 finishes, but he has those wide receiver 3 finishes. So that back end wide receiver 2, I could feel comfortable taking him there as a wide receiver 2, wide receiver, borderline wide receiver 3.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and he is a headache, but there's a big drop off once you get past, really Higgins and Pittman, which is why I think that a little high here in the draft. But I think that's probably fair for him because there are flashes and there are signs. But the quarterback situation has been so inconsistent, and Shanahan is so good at tailoring this offense to whatever he's got going on at quarterback that he's going to need some consistency, or he's going to need to move elsewhere before you can get.
I think a back end 2 is too high. I think he should be more of a 3, which is effectively 4 spots removed from that high end 3. He's replaceable, in my opinion. I there's a lot of Ayuk truthers. There's a lot of people that fall in love with this offense. San Francisco like to do with running backs, recycle wide receivers through here. And given the contract, given that I can't say for certain that he's going to be a long-term Niner, where I think his highest upside comes from. It's from a system that
got high-end 2 upside. I'm not seeing 1 upside, but as I look through the underlying metrics, he's got high-end 2 upside. He's 3rd in target separation, 14th in wins, 13th in win rate, 14th in win rate against man, 11th in target separation versus man, third overall in target separation. If he went to a team that gave wide receivers some volume, this is a high-end 2.
But he also sharing the field with
Debo,
with Kittle, with Debo, with McCaffrey.
Debo when he's not blocking McCaffrey. I get it, but this is the most pure wide receiver on the Niners, right?
Yeah,
I mean, to what they want from their they're the one that use them that way the most.
And when Debo goes down, it's like, what do? You have Brandon Ayuk still there because you're using Debo as a running back, and you're taking that chance every freaking play of him going out and being done.
It's
Interesting.
frustrating, but it's
I-
been so inconsistent with what he's gotten target wise and everything like that. I mean, it's all over the freaking place. 2, 8, 8, 4, 4, 11, 11, 6, 7, 4, 8, 9, 3, 4, 7, 12, 5, 5, 4, 1 for the year.
That's
If he got Pittman targets, it's a 2.
again.
Oh, he'd be a high end too.
Yeah.
I personally think he's more of a 3.
If his
I think his ranking is it's just gradually high. It's more of a nitpick, I guess, at this
all right,
point.
let me give you a bold take.
Okay.
If he's a back end worth a back end second right now, going for a high third, he's a buy.
No, I'm not what he costs in your rookie draft.
No.
In
I
a
mean-
dynasty wide receiver ranking,
Okay.
he's ranked as a back. He's ranked as a wide receiver 21.
What are some recent trades for him? Can you pull that up?
Yeah, let me pull up DLF and I'll like here. Also, Pittman's behind him. Ryan's, Bay, Jerry Judy's behind him. That's probably where maybe any question marks would come from in that point. I think he's fine in the Jerry Judy range for sure.
Yeah, I think so. I think that I think him and Judy are very similar from career trajectory and everything.
You swap them spots. I think Judy's a more refined player.
Yeah.
Ayuk, I think, just works really well. Jesus Christ. I think he just works well within the with a Kyle Shanahan. Like they space so well on that team that it just allows him to be, himself. Like it's just like he's a great, like he's great one-on-one.
It's basically if
Very, very,
Deontay
very, very
Johnson
fast.
didn't have the target volume.
And DLF has him as 28. Yeah. He's Deontay Johnson that can actually score touchdowns.
Deontay Johnson with 8 touchdowns, 1,000 yards, and 78.
Except
or
Deontay,
114
I think
targets.
I think Deontay also commands more targets than what he is.
He does. Deontay has
All
got
right,
about 30 to 40
so-
more.
Let me look here. Let me see. So here's a recent Ayuk solo trade. Ayuk, this was made 2 weeks ago. Ayuk for Keenan Allen and Traylon Burks. Obviously, we can't see what the league settings are. Most of these are going to be super flex leagues.
I
But
feel
we're gonna go off of that.
so. I feel safer with Ayuk while also acknowledging that the upside isn't nearly the same as what Burks is.
Yeah.
How often do we see receivers over the last few years that come in super raw reach their true upside? Not very, but there's an acknowledgement that Burks' upside is very, very large. And I think we've also acknowledged earlier in the show when we said the Chargers need to go get a wide receiver that Keenan Allen is kind of on a little bit of a downswing. Is he
Well, age is
ages
helpful,
and
I
everything?
guess.
Age is undefeated. So I get it. Like, I think this is fine, and I think that move's fine. Again, Allen on a downswing. Burks definitely has a lower floor with a higher ceiling. So if you're more risk averse, that trade makes sense.
Yeah, that's only one that would be. Otherwise, he's involved. There's some package deals he was involved in for Najee Harris. There's an insane Ayuk and 3 firsts for Justin Herbert.
That had to
Type
be
deal,
super
like
flex,
these-
right?
Yeah,
It
things,
had to be.
obviously, yeah, things you can't,
Can't really
quantify. But I think the 2-for-1, high floor receiver in Keenan Allen, which I think will still give you
It's gonna give you a little
his
bit for a
floor
little bit.
plus that you could replace now. You to wait is to see if Jalen. I don't know if Burks is the guy I really want to go after. I don't really trust Tennessee's
No, not the-
situation at this point, so I maybe would have gone for somebody else, but I'm sure he wanted to get something paired with Keenan Allen. So
All right. A lot of time on Ayuk. It was good conversation though, because he's the most interesting player that we have in the first
we can
round.
go a little lot on this too.
Class. Yeah. The only other one here is Ruggs, and I just looked up where his court case is.
We don't need to talk about Ruggs.
Delayed again. So
Yeah, he's done.
nothing else
Yeah,
really.
his
to say
career's
there.
way over.
He's done.
Yeah. He's done.
One bad decision with terrible consequences
Yeah, sad, very sad.
for everyone in the All right, let's.
All right, so T. Higgins.
No, we're not going to the second round yet. Sorry.
No. Oh, okay.
No, we're still in the first round. Well, you had one running back drafted in the first round, and Edwards-Helaire. I think we can all agree that's not gone well.
No.
The greatest.
I was
It led to
excited
the
for it,
greatest
too.
conversations for an entire offseason.
Yep.
Oh my God.
My God. The amount of people that were wrong and putting Clyde number one because their favorite quarterback liked him the most.
Yes.
That's why you don't let your quarterback scout your players.
Guilty.
I was
Guilty.
never off
I'm
the
so
JT.
guilty.
I was
Never off the JT train.
Guilty, apparently. But I tier, as we know, so I wasn't guilty at the same time. I had him higher in the tier, but he was still tiered. And honestly, the way that I've evolved my process since then, there is absolutely no way that, given overall performance stats and film scores, that he would have beaten Jonathan Taylor if I were to evaluate this now. Absolutely no way would he have been ahead of Taylor, and absolutely no way would I have had Dobbins as low as he was. Looking back at how I've evolved since this draft class.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Edwards-Helaire you should get out of for any value you can get, in my opinion.
You're not, unfortunately, getting value. Like
There's nothing left.
No.
Or the next chance you get.
So you're hoping in Super Bowl that he does something really good, like goes off for like 100 yards and a touchdown or something?
Yeah, when he lands on his next team, there's going to be some believer that throws a third round value on him or something like that. Like you can get some. But anywho's it's I don't know that there's any non-skill position. Hitting non-skill positions just real quick. AJ Terrell's been fine. Austin Jackson for the Dolphins. I don't really know much about linemen, honestly. Damon Arnett was not a great pick for the Raiders, who had a lot of not great picks. Kenneth Murray for the Chargers, pretty good. And nothing else really. I mean, Patrick Queen for the Ravens, great pick. About low.
It's getting better. It's getting better.
It's getting better. Jeff Gladney for the Vikings.
No.
Don't want to
Piece
talk
of
about
shit.
it.
No.
All right, let's hit a beer review, then we'll get through the lower rounds, which should be a lot quicker.
Beer review.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and go because I was out. I was drinking Queen Meme from Triptych out of Savoy, Illinois. Hazy IPA, which they do really, really well. This one leans a little bit more on the bitter side. You definitely get some of that tropical. I think guava really jumps out at me. A little bit of pineapple. Not a ton of citrus in this one. Definitely some earthy and some piney undertones as I go through it. So it's not just a fruit bomb. I don't do a lot of hazies, but it's a well-balanced hazy, in my opinion. You get the right amount of fruit without being attacked by it. Some good floral notes there. Some good earthy notes there that help balance all of that out with the tropical notes. Wildflower honey. I don't know that came to play here at all, other than the 8.8% ABV. I don't know when they added it. There's nothing about, their stats or anything like that. And here's the thing you need to know about like honey and things. Honey is fermentable. So if you don't kill your yeast or neutralize your yeast before you add it, it's just going to get eaten up and not add anything. In this case, it might have added a little bit of residual sweetness and maybe some floral notes. The honey is not a prominent note. So, probably more of a sales thing with it being on the label, honestly. But I don't think they needed that. It's a really good beer on its own with a lot of balance. So Triptych is normal. They kick the hell out of everything they do other than oatmeal stouts, in my opinion. So
delicious.
Yes.
I had Sweet Baby Jesus, which is a chocolate peanut butter porter, coming in at 6.2%. And it's very, very good, like dessert beer for a porter. I like it. because you taste it. You take a swig of it. It's comes in as chocolate. You swallow. You feel like that peanut butter like hug your tongue after you swallow. It gives like a nice dry flavor bit to it.
Yeah.
So that is what I actually liked about it. So I was like, man, I'm actually on my second one already. That's how good it is.
I'll have to maybe give it another roll because the last time I tried it, I have not been impressed with the Evil Twin. I don't see him. We don't see him too often out here in Illinois. But
what I do is I open it
maybe
and I pour it and I let it sit for 5 minutes and then I start drinking it. Because I notice it's a whole different taste if you like pour it and start drinking it right away compared to let it kind of sit and warm up a little bit.
Well, the temperatures are going to bring out more stuff. You're gonna get stuff muted if it's too cold, and as it warms up, you're going to get more of the flavors, and you'll get more of the malt characteristics that comes through. So that is common. That's why you want to serve those type of beers generally at a little warmer temperature than what you would with a domestic beer that doesn't have a lot of anything to it.
Like a 40+ degree type of serve on them.
They're generally between 50. They're at around
really?
50. Yeah. Obviously you don't want to drink warm beer, but you want to let the temperature
almost like a wine cooler
type
of beer.
Yeah, you want to have your flavors and everything come through. Again, 6-point brewery, resin double IPA, your DIPA. This is a very characteristic, a very drawn representation of what a double IPA is. Malt forward, bitter forward. It's not of the worlds of hot bombs where it just kicks you in the teeth and it just becomes undrinkable. It's a good solid double. I always enjoyed them putting into the slim cans as a craft beer. It's a very choice make, I suppose. These guys are around the Midwest. They're obviously from the from the East Coast. So finding these guys shouldn't be too difficult if you're not too much on the West End. Solid fine. It does the style well, we'll say. That's it.
Cool.
Ryan gave his second.
No, I know he did. I was back by then. I was getting a Scottish Light, which has been entered at the Bluegrass Cup in Kentucky, so hoping for good things out of this beer. And pissing like I normally do during a beer review, especially when Ryan talks.
I'm gonna try it in a.
I give piss
athletic
reviews.
These reviews are like my bathroom breaks. I piss.
All right, round 2. Let's go ahead and look at the wide receivers in round 2. We already kind of talked about this. Higgins and Pittman. Let's start there. They are easily the easiest. Higgins is a perennial wide receiver too. I don't think there's anything else to say there. He is what he is as long as Chase is around, or he's with Chase. He's not going to be the alpha. He's very, very good. Not really.
I think there's easy arguments to make that I think he's also a potential back and one in Dynasty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like what do you do now? Because this is like we're going into his final year of his contract. Like, will his value take a hit if he signs somewhere else, or will it stay where it's at if he stays in Cincinnati? If a lot of expiring contracts coming up here.
They also have to pay Burrow this offseason. They will extend him because they want to get the contract done before. Probably, ideally, they want to get it done before Lamar's contract and Herbert's contract hits the books or
exactly.
hits, comes out, and especially before the 21 class. I don't see Cincy botching this with back-to-back AFC Championship games on the line. I firmly believe, and I've been debating with myself back and forth about this for the last couple of days, is that they want to keep this core 3. They'll let Mixon go even before the news came out, which may or may not happen.
It's a running back that's been kind of average productivity wise. I mean, you're going
to lose Tyler Boyd's contract, and they'll just keep recycling your third slot guy in there. It's going to be Burrow, Higgins, and Chase, and they're going to keep patchworking through the draft and through salary savings. Their O-line, their defense, it's found some.
Britton Irwin's shown he can be fine as a 3 instead of Boyd if you need to cycle that, and they can grab a a running back
But they-
either cheaper in free agency than they'd be able to retain Mixon or out of the draft. And
I think their defense takes a hit though this year. I think they have a lot of expiring contracts this year.
Jesse
I mean,
Bates is a big one for sure.
Yeah.
But that's good
They
news
also-
for Higgins.
They also
Yeah.
potentially play in a very prolific division against. They're going to ideally play first or second place, type of schedules, which is going to yield Buffalo, Kansas City, the Chargers. If Jacksonville takes another step forward, that there are in games in which you're going to have two elite quarterbacks going after each other and fireworks
Yes.
happen. It is the upside of the opponents he plays and the offense in which is around him. If it's Higgins, it should be that. I think the value difference between Chase and Higgins is a little too much. While I still firmly believe Chase is a couple tiers above him, Higgins, I think he's going to go through more ebb and flows than Chase will, but he's always a buy. I am a huge advocate for Higgins as a back in one, at worst a high 2.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm with you. I think that this was a great pickup by Cincinnati here, especially going Chase the following season. This set up the framework for their offense. You were able to pair, Burrow with a wide receiver to grow that and center the rebuild around. And for T. Higgins in Dynasty, I'm holding on to that as a piece on my roster, unless I'm maybe even if I am in a rebuild or a retool.
I mean, he's
still young enough.
Yeah, he's
Oh, yeah,
he's
still
about to
young
enter
enough.
his prime years too.
Yes.
It's not like we're this
So,
like
you gotta
running
let it run on
backs.
that. You don't have to move him.
No. You want to be buying them. Buying these wide receivers entering their second contracts
Yep.
in
Yeah.
those prime years are very good real estate.
So Michael Pittman's a different story, a little bit. Pittman has a lot of unrealized potential given a tumultuous quarterback situation. The Colts allegedly realize that they can't keep recycling veterans now, but there's really no path forward for what they're going to do. If it's trade up, if it's go recycle a veteran that maybe isn't at the very end of their career.
Derek Carr.
Yeah.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Either way, Pittman's got good target volume. The floor seems to be okay. The quarterback situation, the offense haven't done it for him, though. And he was never the type of player coming out that was going to profile as somebody that was super explosive. He had to be a volume play, in my opinion, from what I remember of his tape. So, yeah. I think that there's a lot that has to swing his way. I think I talked about him as a buy a couple weeks back.
We all did.
We all did.
Yeah.
We're all on the same train.
Yeah.
Just
So,
because his value is so low right now.
yes. So, and I still firmly believe that it's a buy because there's so much unrealized potential as the Colts try to figure this thing out. And I really think that where he was drafted, when you start to get into the guys behind this, you can't take exception with. It's just kind of vanilla for Michael Pittman, in my opinion, right now.
Who would you rather have? Judy, Ayuk, or Pittman?
I'd rather have Judy.
Probably Judy out of the three for me.
I'm still Pittman.
I think the floor is Pittman, and I think Judy's given us a bit more upside on an
I would
offense.
almost go
which-
opposite of that. I think Pittman's got more upside.
I think I said
than Judy.
I don't disagree that Pittman has more upside than Judy. I think that Judy has given us to this point more upside than Pittman.
Yes. No, yeah, no, I agree with you on that one, Chris. Like, yeah.
I'm
I'd
not
rather
saying
have
that
Judy.
he has more upside than Pittman. I'm
But he's
saying
provided.
provided
He's
a little
shown
bit more
more.
over the last season than what Pittman did.
Because Pittman will have those 12 those 12 target games, and he'll have a blow up game, but then he'll give you like a floor of like 6 points. Where like Judy kind of
It's the same thing for Judy. I mean, Pittman's a more volume receiver. Pittman also has had
But-
end of career Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan, Sam Ellinger.
Well, yeah, that's
Nick
why he's a
Foles.
buy, right?
That's why he's a buy right now. Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, but
because he's had nothing
that's-
at quarterback.
But I got some future
But-
trades.
But what are they going to do? And that's kind of where I'm at.
What if he gets traded? I mean, he's been the highlight package I've seen
He's not getting
in
traded, I
mock
don't
trades.
think.
I don't think so too, but
He could.
fine.
But
If they
they-
trade up, I think they're still going to move up. So now you're adding in Bryce Young, Stroud, hopefully not Levis, but I'm assuming Stroud or Young at the
I
101.
still think it'd be more. I think it'd be more of picks than Michael Pittman. If
Okay,
anything
let's
else.
say it's picks.
It's the
and-
same difference.
Let's
Yeah,
say
fine.
that it's picks and Pittman to the Bears, because that had some steam.
Yeah.
Where you at?
a lot of. I mean, it's more. The only thing that scares me, it's the same thing with Bateman. It's the talent's there, but is the volume going to be there?
In a Bears offense where Fields is going to run a lot. Now, there's questions at running back. Montgomery leaving. We like Herbert, but, can he take a full load? What do they do there? We know Pittman's a different type of wide receiver than Mooney. Who elevates
I mean,
who,
you have
though?
your three. You have Pittman, Mooney, and
Claypool.
let's not forget Claypool.
Yeah.
It's a very good trio. Pittman is your outside X, Mooney as your vertical, I guess Z-ish, Y-ish.
Claypool is
And then
a
you have
big
Claypool
slot.
out of the slot. It's a big slot, I guess, depot type, because he also got a lot of run his rookie season as a runner too. Again, it'd be volume, but Fields is a good passer. It's just Chicago didn't give him a lot of time, and we know that one of Fields' weaknesses is processing. And
Yeah,
we're
he
not given a
processes
lot of
fast.
time.
Yep.
When you're not given time in the pocket before you have to move, and when your internal clock gets sped up, and you're as athletic as he is, and as much as he wants to win, that's why he's going to take off more every time because of that. You trade for Claypool, regardless of what you feel about the trade. Maybe Pittman, you'll get Kmet and Mooney. Like, again, volume is still the concern, and to bring this all back to Pittman, it's I think from an efficiency standpoint, it'd be better. He should probably his volume will be lower, but he still commands targets. And if he stays in Indy, and now you add in a Young or Stroud, it's now he gets to grow and develop with the young quarterback, with the volume still there, and probably better than what he's had, even at those points in their careers. Even better than the Rivers season, which isn't as bad as people like to make it out to be.
Or they don't trade and they take Will Levis, and that.
Please
even
don't.
though
No. I don't want fucking Power 5 fucking Zach Wilson. No, we don't want Will Levis. I'll show. He's like the guy at the driving range. He putts for dough, and that's it. I'm not a big Will Levis fan.
Yeah.
If I've made that pretty clear.
couldn't tell.
I don't know that I will be, but all right, let's move on to some running backs here, okay?
Yes.
Good with that? Because the second round was chock full of running backs in this class. DeAndre Swift went ahead of Jonathan Taylor to the Lions.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, we were fine with that too because he was a more dynamic player coming out, even though Taylor's
I loved it
been more
as a
productive to this
Lions
point.
fan.
You also ended up in this with J.K. Dobbins, and you ended up with A.J. Dillon in this round.
And Cam Akers.
And Cam Akers, who I choose not to acknowledge.
Round 3. Akers
Yeah.
was 3.
No, he's
round 2.
He's round
Was he
2.
2?
He is
Yeah.
at 52. Pick 52.
Oh, I'm right. You guys, my bad. I have it pulled up too in front of me. I
Yeah.
always thought he was a 3rd round pick.
Nope, he was a second rounder. So, let's go through this real quick. DeAndre Swift, injuries and disappointment so far. Good when he's healthy.
Still is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But even when he is healthy, like, you don't know when that game's going to be. Like, you'll see that game. And, like, you
Every
see it
week,
as
if you
25
ask
fantasy
you.
points. Yeah. But then it's a 25-point game. So then the next week, you're like, oh, man, I got this. He's ready. He's RB1 again. And then he gives you like 9 points. And I'm like, the fuck? So it's like, but.
Them having Jamal Williams hasn't helped.
Well, that's what I was gonna say too. Is the way the Lions' offense run is they don't have like that feature back. Like Swift wasn't like going to be the feature back like I wanted him to be. So they have that tandem back with a 3-headed back sometimes.
Important
So
note,
they're constantly rotating.
important note on DeAndre Swift. His middle name apparently starts with a T. So his name is DeAndre T. Swift.
like Taylor Swift.
Which, yes, that is the joke.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
Thank you.
Like Team Swift, guys.
Um,
I love you, Ryan.
I'm
yeah,
going home.
you're at home.
I'm turning around. We're going home, guys.
Here's the thing with Swift, right? Looking at his first 3 seasons, he has not played a full season. He has not logged more than 150 carries. He has not logged more than 650 yards. On the ground, the receiving yardage has definitely been there, and that's been what's carried his fantasy production. He's got 1 season over 1,000 scrimmage yards. The hope with Swift is that he can have a fully healthy season at some point and actually see some workload. You'd prefer him be up closer to 200 carries. You'd prefer him, be more in the 80 to 90 target range instead of the 70. It's all there to be a really good PPR back, almost Austin Eckler-esque. But the question is it ever going to happen? So, do you sell? While there's still people that are hopeful, or do you hope it hits?
This has been. Oh, go ahead, Ryan.
No, you got it.
This has been my most debated in my mind. I spend a lot of time driving. I do a lot of out loud thinking when I'm on the road for fucking 4 hours a day. Right now, so KTC has Swift as the RB10, DLF as them at 9. And it's Detroit has yet to prove to us that they fully trust Swift in a heavy workload. One game of over 20 touches, or not touches, carries. Yeah, he had 133 carry game in 2021. But he's had over 20 touches in multiple games if you pound in the receiving work, which we all know is very valuable when it comes to fantasy. Obviously, durability is the concern, which is probably why they can't fully commit to him as a workhorse back. The buy or sell is extremely tough because I think the community softened on Swift. And the running back landscape is in such a fucking disarray because of Breece Hall's injury, Jonathan Taylor's injury and disappointment this year. Walker got hurt. McCaffrey still showing things. The 19 class we all knew wasn't that great. It's proved to us. Najee Harris took a step back. ETN is on the rise, but there isn't a clear RB1. It's just a bunch of high-end top
names.
5s. And some people are going to have Swift in that. I mean, I Saquon Barkley and McCaffrey are in DLF's top 5 dynasty running backs. At 2017 and 18 running backs are in their top 5. That is the landscape of backs. And does Detroit even bring back Swift? I've seen mock drafts of them taking Bijan at 18. Not 18, I'm sorry. Whatever their lowest pick is.
So, and I think they could get away with that with taking Bijan. They've got Swift under contract for 1 more season. And no, they probably don't, right? You don't have a 5th-year option on him. And I don't think that
do you
they
think they bring him back even if they don't draft? I mean, Ryan, if they draft a running back, like, let's not even think about Bijan. If they draft a running back in the 2nd or 3rd round, how would you feel about Swift? Would you feel confident if they come back? Well, do you think that they would actually pick him up and re-sign him again?
No, he's one and done.
If he doesn't put it together this year, they don't do it anyway.
I don't see them doing it as is because, like, if someone's offered, like, if he's being valued that high, like, I valued him that high going into the season.
We all did. I love Swift. I love Swift.
And then seeing like how he was actually more efficient with less carries and touches, which is something you don't want to see. You always say, like,
he's the
more volume. Yeah, the more volume you get, the better you're going to be as a running back. But it's like, with him, it's like the more you give him, the more you take the chance of hurting him. Yeah. And every time you give him more carries and stuff, he gets hurt.
But we've seen that work too, right? I mean, look at Kamara, look at Eckler. We've seen
recently it hasn't been working.
Obviously durability. I mean, he had one.
The target volume hasn't been there to sustain that high of a performance with.
It's not consistent.
Little on the ground.
It's what's going to keep them. Ryan, are they bringing back Jamal Williams?
They're trying to. Yes.
Depends on if they draft somebody.
I mean, they'll
Well,
have
they're
that
gonna try to be-
decision made beforehand. But
You think?
I still say they'll still draft somebody.
it may not
anyways.
even matter. They may still draft. Yeah, I'm sure they'll still
No,
draft
they
somebody
will.
day 3. But I don't really care about day 3 backs.
No, it's day 1,
At
day
least
2 I'm paying
in
attention
terms of
to.
Swift. Yeah. In terms of Swift, I don't care about day 3 backs. But that's why I've been so difficult in trying to value Swift. And I think he falls somewhere. I think he is an RB1 in Dynasty because of the running back landscape. And if Swift were to leave Detroit, it doesn't kill his value.
I think it's replaceable value though too.
I do. I mean, just looking at DLF, they have Josh Jacobs, ahead of them. They have Austin Eckler ahead of them.
Which to me makes it a sell type of scenario while there's still
Yeah,
value there.
I'm all sell on him right now, and that's even being the Detroit homer here, I'd still sell him, just knowing that if people look at him as a running back 1, I don't look at him as a running back 1. I look at him as a middle RB2 right
the
now.
Dynasty community doesn't realize how much they need this class.
He's a supplemental piece,
class to hit
but
too.
Yeah,
the running
Also,
back
outside of Bijan, they need this class to hit.
the running back class is not great, and outside of Bijan, this running back class doesn't look great either. So,
which is why you're seeing Barkley, which we love Barkley, and we have grown to really love McCaffrey. Why they're still top 5,
and why you're going to see
people's minds.
Some of these guys starting to get re-signed too. I think because the NFL is also going to realize.
I mean, it's just Javonte Williams too. Also getting hurt really fucked this up, but we'll talk about him next week. So
yeah,
I think it's good to harp how difficult it is to value Swift, and I think a lot of people are where Ryan's at.
Yeah,
I'm a little more hopeful, but I love backs who look and profile like Swift. I can't predict where he's going to go.
To me, it's not even about where he goes. It's the injury history coupled with the lack of volume on the ground, coupled with
I almost want him to have a Kamara role that just lasts longer.
Well, I do too. And you need that target volume to go up though. So where he lands is going to be super important to that.
Yeah, I mean, if we get 21, where he averaged generally 6-7 targets a game, that's a high end. That's a 100 target season.
Yeah, that's what you need. You need him at 100 target season, not a 60 to 70 target season.
I mean,
for him to pay
I'll give it
on
for
that.
this year. Obviously, dealing with injuries for the early part of it, and it's just the usage after everything and the long term usage towards the end of this season. There is some concern, but that's why I don't think he stays in Detroit. I'm regardless of what they do, I think they let him walk.
Yeah. Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins, Cam Akers.
JT's still RB. He's still a top 3 Dynasty running back.
And he did have an ankle procedure to clean that up, but
buy him. Just
so yeah,
he's your new Derek. He's your new Derrick Henry.
Yeah,
he's your new Derrick Henry. He's going to get too much volume to ignore.
J.K. Dobbins is interesting. He turned it on again at the end of the season. You need him to put a full season together. The upside is clearly there. The ability
too much change
rate is truly there. But yeah, a lot of change. It's interesting because I really have no idea how people value J.K. Dobbins right now either.
DLF 18, KTC RB 15.
He might
higher.
be a buy, but it's a risky.
If I felt more confident in the Lamar Jackson situation and who they bring in at OC, he lost one of the better running back friendly OCs. And like as much as I'm happy Greg Roman's gone, that his scheme was incredible for him. And he's also not happy on Baltimore right now.
No, he's not because he's not.
also pretty fucking salty
because he's not the guy. You need a situation where he's the guy because the upside is clearly there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I think RB 15 is probably the high point. I think a high 2.
I'm fine with the high 2.
I'm buying him because I think that. I mean, well, let me rephrase. The one Dobbins share, I'm selling him because I'm full blown in a rebuild. But in theory, I'm buying him because I think the ceiling is so much higher than what we've seen and so much higher than where he is. And he needs to put together a full season. He lost damn near 2 years because of the knee. He's got to put together a full season. Even if it's a more traditional offense, I think he's perfectly capable of putting up RB1 type numbers with consistency if he can stay on the field. And he doesn't have an annoyance named Gus Edwards.
Yeah, I think the talent's it's obviously there.
So where did they draft a running back high also in the draft?
Then I'm going to call them idiots and I'm going to mock them relentlessly.
I don't. Again,
Day 2, day 3 running
they
back.
don't really.
I don't care about day
I mean,
three
they
running
talked
backs.
about that last year, but that was more of where Dobbins' recovery was.
Yeah.
Roman's gone. They haven't replaced the OC.
For the
which is
love
gonna
of
be
God, draft wide receivers.
Yeah, I mean,
seriously, that's what they really need.
They also got to figure out somebody named Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, they do.
Again, there's so many moving parts to Dobbins.
Derek Carr.
Derek
Carr.
don't no. That's
Totally
that's
gonna
just
change
rude.
things. Derek Carr.
They're gonna trade him to San Francisco for Trey Lance and then bring back Greg Roman.
Aaron Rodgers goes there.
No,
That'd be awesome.
I will fucking cry.
It's actually Zach Wilson.
I would also fucking cry.
I'm okay with that.
I know. You want to see?
I'm okay.
AJ Dillon, I don't really have a lot of thoughts on. Yeah, that hasn't panned out. Good job, Packers.
Wasted pick.
Wide receivers below that, I'm not really. I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on them. KJ Hamler, Chase Claypool, Van Jefferson, Denzel Mims,
Nope.
Chenault up there.
A lot of misses.
A lot of misses.
Whole lot of misses.
Whole bunch of not good. Good defensive players went in this round. We're going to skip over that. Cole Kmet was the first tight end off the board. He's starting to show a little bit. Tight ends a little bit later breakouts. So more on him as we get into other types of
Yeah, that was year 3. Year 3 is when you start seeing more of them. And this was the year 3 of him that we got to see. So
a little bit more.
Unless it's George Kittle.
He's going to be like a mid-tier tight end one, probably for his career.
Yeah.
That's fine. Round 3, running through the skill position players. Antonio Gibson.
We're just gonna skip over Cam Akers.
I mean, don't I normally?
I'm just joking.
He started to come on at the end of the year. He's coming off an Achilles injury. He came back way too soon from. He's got an offensive line that's totally in disarray. I've never liked the skill set. I'm just letting somebody else deal with it, which is why I'm willing to skip over it. Because I have no scenario where I have to care about Cam Akers, and that's how I like it.
He killed it over the last 3 weeks, though. 23, 19, and 21 carries.
I'm sure he did.
All 3 of those games.
I'm willing to let him be somebody else's headache.
Wow.
Let him be good with somebody else. I don't really care. I have no interest.
He won me a championship, so I love him. I love him a lot. I was.
Dan, you want anything on Cam Akers? Because I don't care.
I love you. You know how I feel about Akers. He's viewed as the RB3, like not the obviously RB3, but as a RB3. That's
there's
the Rams. The Rams want to give him volume.
There's upside there if he gets volume, if they
upside.
commit to him, and
You don't have to like
that
him.
he can flash. I don't have to like him, but I can tell you that there's upside there if they can keep using him in that way. I didn't like him coming out. I didn't like his tape. I had him all the way down as he was my RB7. So yeah. I'm not a fan. I'm staying away from it. He could be good. That's a risk I'm willing to take. If you don't believe in a player, you don't believe in a player.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, you don't have to buy everybody.
Yep. So now can I move on to round 3? Yeah. Antonio Gibson.
Started out good, and then all of a sudden he just faded away this year where people were like, oh, yeah, he's great still. And then we never saw anything from him.
He was good sometimes. He was split with Brian Robinson, and he's in a
Durability concern. Ron Rivera
right now
doesn't really like him anymore, I guess.
He was going to return kicks for a while. That never planned out. Like, not a good situation.
And yet he's still the most talented running back on that roster.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. So when you get a window, Keyshawn Vaughn is buried. You can't do anything with that.
Oh my God. That was so bad. What a miss.
The answer to Keyshawn Vaughn versus Zach Moss that a lot of us debated was neither.
And by a lot of it was us in the ball play. It wasn't even a debate. It was
It was 2 hours of us
it
being
was because we
drunk
both
and
don't
yelling
like
at
Zach
each other.
Moss. Yeah. They like Moss. We all loved Vaughn. Didn't matter. Both players sucked.
Michelle was big on Moss. Kate was Vaughn.
I mean, they both love both players. I know that.
Missing a Keyshawn Vaughn was like taking that red wiffle ball bat and trying to hit a beach ball with it and missing. It's like, how do you miss a beach ball with the big red wiffle ball bat?
Well,
I had him above. I
Lenny
thought I was
for that.
hilarious. I didn't care.
I think I had him like top 8 in my like all like overall.
I mean, I had him as a top 5.
He was my 5. He was.
I had him above Clyde.
Yeah, he was
top 5.
The first guy in my second tier. I had him above Dobbins.
I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, that I feel like that's like one of my biggest misses ever.
We all missed.
Vaughn? I mean,
Yeah.
he also landed. It
He
didn't help
landed
that he got
badly.
COVID during his fucking rookie season.
No.
After the Bucks brought in Tom Brady.
And,
He was dealt a shitty hand.
and then you end up
regardless.
with Fournette, and then they draft Rashad White. Like, he might.
They brought Fournette in
be
August
Yeah,
of that year. Like,
he might be
Vaughn
a second.
was fucked.
He might just need an opportunity. It's going to be interesting to see where he goes. I'm not calling it a buy yet because we need to figure that out. If he's
got
not
to
going to
leave
be
Tampa Bay
buried.
first.
Well, Fournette could leave Tampa Bay first, and then he's one injury away.
Yeah, but Vaughn's so cheap right now. I mean, you could probably get him at like a freaking.
You can probably
deal.
get him off the
you don't have
waiver
to
wire
get him,
after
you
the
just pick him
draft.
up.
You
Yeah.
just
You can pick him up right now
They-
if the waivers are open.
Yeah.
I would advise.
We don't need to spend a
because-
lot of time on Keyshawn Vaughn.
Anyways,
but it
let's
was
move
a
on.
All right.
love affair. Quarterback, wide receiver, running back, Lynn Bowden Jr.
Moving on.
Never turned into anything. Brian Edwards, rest in peace.
What could have not have happened?
Coulda, woulda, shoulda, never.
Yep.
Yep.
Zach Moss, second team.
I also move on.
Not doing much. Not a lot to talk about. Devin Duvernay. I love Devin Duvernay. He went to the Ravens. This is a guy who I love the skill set coming out of college. He's landed in a place where he has just never gotten enough volume to even register every metric I need to see on Player Profiler because of the offense that he's in. Devin Duvernay is somebody I like a lot more on a team that isn't the Ravens.
And when you even got a chance as the number 1, it's just
There's no volume.
yeah.
He produced as well as you could be expected to, but there's no volume. So
I mean, he would need to move on to a more pass friendly
offense, which is not
offense,
Baltimore.
which is the opposite of what Baltimore is right now. I mean, maybe they turn into that. We never know.
Gonna be.
Yeah.
He's still very intriguing to me. It was a slot player that had a lot of athleticism. I loved Devin Duvernay coming out. He was my. Where did I have him at? I had him with Ruggs and IU. He was my wide receiver 11 in this class. So, I was a big fan. I think Ben Morgan was a big fan too. So,
Matt Hicks.
Matt
You
Hicks.
and Hicks.
That's right.
You and Hicks were lock and step for
A lot of guys.
a lot of players that year.
Anything else on Duvernay? Pretty
No.
much cover it.
No.
Darrington,
No.
nothing on Darrington Evans, nothing on Josiah DeGuara, nothing on Dalton Keene other than the great mustache that never did anything yet.
How about
Yeah.
one of the 2 worst draft picks? Like 2 round 3 tight ends that got replaced the following year.
Oh my God.
Yes, Devin
Woof.
Aussie too.
Tom Brady masked a lot of problems.
Yeah, he did.
Jesus
'Cause
Christ.
that is terrible drafting for 2 tight ends that never did anything.
And then
in
you
the third
overspend
round.
on 2 tight ends the following year in free agency. Just what the fuck?
Yeah, because you go behind those 2 tight ends, like you still very well have usable players.
Yeah. It's woof.
Did not go well.
All right.
Adam Troutman, not a lot there.
Nope.
Not anything. Josh Kelly, don't need to talk about that. Harrison Bryant, nope. Albert O.
It's already been replaced by Greg Dolchis.
Has already been replaced by Craig Dulcich.
He is hyper athletic. I can't stay healthy. Like,
Ryan had him as a buy.
I don't. I wouldn't buy either. Russ is tight ends with Russ has been okay. It's just the position gets targeted. It's always multiple.
Yeah.
It's not Jimmy Graham. This isn't a Jimmy Graham situation. Multiple targets get involved. If Alvaro is healthy, they're going to eat into each other. Him and Dolchich. Always got a lot of athleticism. Maybe turns into something, but their ability concerns.
Maybe second team like Evan Ingram was.
Yeah, maybe he moves. That would be the hope. But he was also just a very raw. He just had it was a bad tight end class too.
Yeah.
That also didn't help. There's something to really root for.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd still buy him though. Just because he's so cheap.
No.
Fourth round pick.
No, you can get him on waivers probably after the draft.
Yeah, that too.
The James Morgan to the Jets. I did that just because I'm pretty sure that's a Tanner Morgan connection. Gabe Davis.
Gabe Davis.
So first off, we can agree this was a value this late, right? For what he's been.
I think
Well,
I think he's valued very accordingly to what they wanted from a vertical receiver.
I mean, round 4, looking at some of the other wide receivers here, though, right? This was a steal for Buffalo in round 4, given some of the later shit.
well, yeah, considering the wide receivers that went ahead of him,
Yeah.
like Antonio Gallup and Gandy Golden.
Golden was behind him.
I
Same
sure
round.
Was
he did his
Oh,
role
yeah, it was.
properly. That's I still don't.
Okay, the guys that
I
were
think it put a lot of guys. I think you can find a vertical guy like him, and they would have the same success.
Devin Duvernay, Brian Edwards was ahead of him. Joe Reed, Antonio Gibson.
You mean Antonio Gandy Golden?
No, Antonio Gibson was
Gandy
drafted
Golden
as
was
a,
behind him.
Gibson was drafted as a wide receiver.
Oh, ahead of him. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Sorry. Guys ahead of him. The guys behind him, I mean, other than Mooney, who you can make an argument for also, like, flash in the pan one season. Other than that, it's Gandy Golden, it's Joe Reed, it's Tyler Johnson, it's Colin Johnson, it's Wintez Cephas, John Hightower. Like, there's nobody around him that has had the success that he has had. Let's put it that
No.
way.
Well, KJ Osborne
You can get...
has shown hints of it.
Yeah, okay. Hey, Dan, would you rather have Gabe Davis or KJ Osborne?
I would love to have Gabe Davis's vertical ability in Minnesota over KJ Osborne, who was just a fine number 3. Davis is also number 3. Like,
Yes,
Davis
I agree
has
with that.
been able to work his way up. It's commendable. The hype. I'm sorry to the FF Face-Off group. You guys are awesome. Was
Totally
fucking I'm sorry.
worth
Was
it.
unfounded bullshit. It's
Bullshit.
it's
all good.
insane. And I like Davis coming out. God damn it. I always have to be the fucking, the villain
Negative
in the
Nancy.
scenario because it was obvious that he wasn't going to become anything more than what he was. And now he could be replaced after this year. Because that offense is starved of a number 2. This offense is still starved of needing a number 2 receiver. When you bring back the 2 players that you were supposed to replace, that's not a good sign for them. They
No.
re-signed John Brown. They re-signed Cole Beasley. Khalil Shakur is a better long-term option because he can provide more over the field. Being a good teammate in the locker room doesn't win you a lot of points if you're not producing enough on the field. And I like Gabe Davis.
You got to pick
He's
your
got great
spots.
he's got great size. He's got great athleticism. It's just he has not blossomed into a complete receiver. It's one role.
He's a valuable
He's a good
piece.
blocker, too.
He's a valuable piece to have around. You got to pick your spots. You can, maybe I can, I don't know, relatively reliably pick when those spots are going to be. So I'm okay with having that when I can reliably guess upside that's
good
going to
luck.
hit.
Great for best ball.
I'll take him. Everybody send me your Gabe Davis offers.
I gotta pull him up. I want to see what type of offers have been coming his way.
Because I can, like,
Recent offers.
I
Obviously.
relatively reliably can predict Gabe Davis, I feel like.
I
You're always going to have somebody that duds when you don't expect him to or whatever. We do that with a lot of other players. But pretty reliably being able to pick on when Gabe Davis is going to have a good 4-target game. I think I can do that.
That's why I call him Santa Claus. Everyone felt like they were proven right about Davis because of this season. Your wide receiver in 1 week. He had a couple of the wide receiver in 1 week.
That's true.
And then he shoves in a wide receiver.
No one was
83rd
wrong,
week
and
and
everyone was
67th.
wrong all at the same time.
It's fucking beautiful. Gabe Davis was involved in a Patrick Mahomes trade. That
Single
includes
QB?
Daniel Jones, Trey Lance, Geno Smith, and Darren Waller.
What a clusterfuck of a trade was that?
All right, here's one. Gabe Davis in the 4th round pick for Jerry Jeudy.
Okay.
That's how you
Is it-
sell high on Gabe Davis. Or Gabe Davis trade up for a 2nd round 2023,
Okay.
which I feel like is
That's pretty
it's
reasonable.
value. It doesn't obviously say we're in mind, so that
It's
can
still
be
pretty reasonable.
yeah a high. Like
Oh no.
I don't think we're gonna go through the same discourse this year. He didn't have a 4
I hope
touchdown game in
not.
the playoffs because Gabe Davis didn't show up in the playoffs.
Let me
But
draft him cheaper.
you will. He'll actually be
Yeah.
where he should have been valued last year. Fucking
He'll be-
people
he's
didn't blow him
fallen.
up. He'll be an 8th round pick next year probably, and that'll be a fine spot to take a wide receiver where you have to constantly predict when he's gonna either kill you or win you a week. Don't ever change, Santa Claus. Don't ever change.
All right, round 5, Darnell Mooney. Bad season.
Bad season, but he did show the upside.
That
That
offense.
Was woof.
Oof.
Yeah, that offense was just all just run. It was just run, and run more
Yeah.
to Justin Fields.
Buy low, hold.
I'm holding, but it's also buy and low at the same time.
I mean, I guess it depends where you perceive them. If they trade for Pittman, that probably puts Mooney at 3
You know who is a better deal?
ish. Who?
As I look through the rest of this, you know who the better deal was? Donovan Peoples-Jones, 6th round.
Especially if sexual predator Watson gets back into Houston
You
form.
look at how consistent, you look at how consistent Peoples-Jones was this year, and when he started to fold in touchdowns and everything like that, I had him in so many places, and I was almost never disappointed. by
He was one of my
throwing
favorite
that out there.
DraftKings plays.
He's that might looking at last year be a better deal than what Darnell Mooney even. Just from a consistency perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
No,
he'll
like, yeah.
continue to be the number 2.
Yep.
Osborne, to his point, I think Thielen is totally gone. I think he'll be the number 2, depending on what the Vikings do. But yeah. Again, if Watson returns to form that we saw in Cleveland, that continues to be an upside. We know big vertical receivers with Watson has been successful, or just more vertical. And it goes to show how much Michigan likes to destroy their
Everyone.
5-star recruit receivers. My God.
Because DPJ is, you should be trading for DPJ because the floor is so good. You're not going to be disappointed in that move, and I think there's still upside there that can be up.
no, because he was so high because he grew up right around not too far from me, and he was like even a 5-star recruit then. I mean, he was killer in high
I
school.
mean, he was a very high
That-
recruit.
5-star recruits out of high school, are typically 5-star recruits out of high school. If you're a 5-star recruit, you're a 5-star
That's generally how it
recruit.
happens. I know,
Yeah.
shocking.
Yeah, great, huh? All right, couple other important things to talk about here. Tyler Bass.
He kicks footballs on a
yes,
high-profile team. Go out and trade a 4th-round pick for him.
Braden Mann,
Who?
punter, New York Jets.
He kicks the ball well, sets up his defense for success, and back in the opponent's territory.
All right, Isaiah Hodgins.
Probably
we talked
more
about
of a,
him.
We did. It helps that the wide receiver room's very wide open. It also means he could easily be replaced.
It does. The touchdown streak was good. There's opportunity there. It's kind of a buy. There are a lot of good things there just to be a second team breakout. I mean, if he's Alan Lazard with more touchdown upside, Lazard, couple practice squads and everything before he latched on, I think you're okay with it.
He's your wide receiver 5, 6, 7.
6.
He's 5, 6, 7 on your roster if you're lucky.
If you got touchdown upside out of that wide receiver 5, 6, 7, when you get down there, you feel pretty good.
Yeah,
as far as
fill-in's good.
Wide receiver 5, 6, 7s go, can do a lot worse.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree.
Hell, he could even be a wide receiver 4, 5, 6.
I mean, when you're already a wide receiver 5, 6, 7, you could totally be a wide receiver 5, 6, 7,
or 4, 5, 6, or even a 3, 4, 5.
I don't know if you want to go up to 3. Things probably ain't going too well for you.
Well, you're looking at the upper limit, not the lower limit.
Or 4, 6, 8.
4 and 5 are still very well.
5, 6, 7, I think is his upper.
I'm gonna go 4, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate? Hodgins, go Hodgins.
Thank you.
I hope he's not an 8, boy. That's down there.
6 is pretty bad. I think he's probably better than a 6.
All right. What about round 7? Juwan Jennings from the 49ers. He was serving as their wide receiver 3 this year and last year. That's what I was saying. That's 2 weeks in a row. That was 2 weeks in a row. I'm on a roll.
Actually, I was only kind of kidding.
And then you started looking at it, you're like, wait a minute.
But yeah, running backs get kind of ugly after this, and that's what you hear. I mean, nobody cares about KJ Hill. Benjamin was down there. Good for him. Sterling was drafted by the Falcons.
Bless you.
Kicker. They didn't
Ben
keep
DiNucci
when they had Young Oeku. Ben DiNucci's down there, yeah.
Tommy Stevens.
Who?
Right. Malcolm Perry.
Nate Stanley.
Nate Stanley. All right, show's over.
Sam Sloman. Hey, you know what? Yeah, I probably wasn't that wrong.
Eno Benjamin.
I already said that.
God.
Tay Crowder was Mr. Irrelevant?
I can't believe Tay Crowder. That's Jay Crowder.
That's Tay Crowder.
Tay Crowder. No, it's Tay Crowder. He actually had a good
He actually was Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah, he actually did good too.
Yeah.
Like the preseason, I think.
Not bad.
Hey, good for you, Tay Crowder.
Where is he now? I thought he was starting somewhere. Hold on.
Are they still a Giant?
He is still with the Giants. He's not. He started the beginning of the year. He was then.
He is still
on the bench.
Huh.
Didn't play a lot. Didn't play a lot of snaps. Got moved to special teams.
Must just be
towards the end of the year.
Name that felt.
Yeah, he's a guy. Hey, he's stuck on with his team. I thought the show was already over.
No, I didn't stop anything. You're welcome for the Tay Crowder content, though.
That's what they came here for, actually.